to play their playoff game against the Magic. And it's not just current players taking the lead. Legends like Michael Jordan are helping with this conversation. Here's what First Take had to say.
Billionaires have enormous sway on our culture. They have enormous influence because they have their pocketbooks near the levers of power. And so if you can truly recruit 10% of all the billionaires in this country to the cause of social justice or even police union reform or whatever it is, that will have enormous influence. Not just in sports, but on broader history. He could actually play a pivotal role.
I always say it's a difference between being popular and powerful. You know, Michael Jordan is powerful, one of the most iconic figures in the world, in history, right? And when you think about the power that he has just on the Black and African American community alone, it speaks volumes. And what Michael Jordan could do is he could almost play like a mediator in between with relationships with the players and owners.
He is somebody I believe to be one of the most underappreciated people in American history. People do not realize what he has done for us and how much gratitude we owe to him for what the NBA is, who the NBA players are, and how they resonate with us all. Michael Jordan did that for us. Magic and Bird to a lesser degree. Magic, of course, with Bird, but definitely with Michael Jordan. What he has done for us cannot be measured. It truly cannot.
Well, the NBA players deciding to strike had a ripple effect, in particular in the WNBA, where they too postponed their games due to the situation with Jacob Blake. Earlier on KJZ, the Seattle Storm's Sue Bird discussed what led to the players' decision to boycott their games on Wednesday and Thursday.
I think it's important for us to say her name, to get these stories out, to get people to understand that this is happening to women as well. And I think, you know, that's what our union discussed coming into this experience. The last 2 days, I think for all sports, it was a time to take a break, you know, because when you get into this work, you know, especially I'm sure, I'm not speaking for anybody, but just listening to my teammates, listening, you know, to the Black women who are in the union with me, this is traumatizing and then re-traumatizing. And it brings up a lot. So the last 2 days, I mean, I think people needed a break. The timing was right to support the NBA. The timing was right to strike these games. The timing was right to take a day. And now the timing's right to go back. And that's how we feel as a league.
It really wasn't surprising. The ladies of the WNBA have been at the forefront of this the last few years. Their coverage continues tomorrow afternoon on ABC. Stewie and the league-leading Storm will face the Chicago Sky tomorrow at 2 Eastern on ABC, and Matt on the ESPN app.
And Elle, as reported earlier, Adrian Wojnarowski says the NBA will resume tomorrow. The League and Players Association issued a joint statement saying that they will, quote, work to establish a social justice coalition, work with local officials to convert NBA-owned facilities into voting locations for 2020. Just moments ago, we heard from CP3 of why now is so important to this league.
It was never about one person. It was never about one team. It was all about all of us together. When the events happened the other day of the game, we stood in solidarity with our brothers from Milwaukee. You know, everything that we do is about the brotherhood, about everyone as a whole. So it was never about what is this one team or this one player is going to do. What we did in there is we had deep conversations. And we all really had an opportunity to address a lot of things. You know, the shootings that continue to happen, it creates a lot of unrest, a whole lot of unrest. For us to have a predominantly African-American league, to see, you know, our Black brothers being shot and killed on a daily basis, you know, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to us. And so everyone expects us to go out and play, I get it, but we needed some time, all of us. We needed some time to refocus and understand, you know, that we can do that. We're human at the end of the day. A lot of times people pass a lot of judgment about what we should do or what we shouldn't do. But guys, I give our guys a lot of credit because they've been doing a hell of a job down here performing and speaking on the different social injustice that's going on day in and day out while trying to be a great athlete while trying to be a great husband, while trying to be a great father.
All right, a quick reminder before we are in the NBA playoffs. All 4 first-round series in the West still up in the air. Lakers, Clippers, Jazz all on the verge of advancing, while the Rockets and Thunder are knotted at 2 games apiece. Very different story in the East, where there are 3 of 4 series are sweeps, and the Bucks lead the Magic 3 games to 1.
Coming up next on Outside the Lines on SportsCenter, how WNBA players are using their platform to inspire change, to fight against social injustice, and for equality.
At this, it's only as good as the endorsement of the head coach. When the head coach allows his players to speak freely, I think then you have a good buy-in situation from everyone involved in the program. You hear the music. Time now for our half-hour headlines. The Buccaneers, the old Tampa Patriots, they had their first scrimmage today. Tuami down there, as has been the case throughout the week. Not much about football because we are getting close to kickoff, but Brady had a chance to weigh in for the first time with the social injustice surrounding our country.
Everyone, makes the choices, that they feel are best for them. And I think everyone is very sensitive of everything that's happening. And I think the communication that we have on a daily basis about social injustice is important for all of us. So, just trying to continue to listen and learn to certainly the guys on my team and the guys that I connect with, and, do as much as we can to help things going forward.
Right into the NBA, roughly 100 NBA employees will walk out Friday in solidarity with NBA and WNBA players who are pushing for social justice, a league source told ESPN. The protest comes just 2 days after the Bucks decided not to take the floor for Game 5 against the Magic, and NBA staff members from New York and New Jersey plan to spend the day calling local officials. So here's where we stand in the playoffs. All 4 first-round series in the West still up in the air. Lakers, Clippers, and Jazz all on the verge of advancing, while the Rockets and Thunder are knotted at 2 games apiece. Very different story in the East. 3 of the 4 series are sweeps, and the Bucks lead the Magic 3 games to 1.
Take a look at the sports climate. Over the past 2 days, 10 MLB games were postponed to protest racial injustice. Today's Jackie Robinson Day, though, and all 30 teams are scheduled to play 17 games in total with a pair of doubleheaders. Now, after games Wednesday and Thursday were postponed, the WNBA returns with a trio of games tonight, and the league-leading Seattle Storm will return to action tomorrow on ABC. MLS returns with Toronto FC visiting the Montreal Impact. That's 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN+. This comes after 5 of 6 games Wednesday were postponed, and there were no games scheduled yesterday. And finally, after receiving harsh response from some players about its response, the NHL postponed games yesterday and today, impacting 4 conference semi-games. Action will resume Saturday with 3 of those 4 games.
Well, we talked about baseball. The Mets walked off the field last night, but not before confusion after a video of Mets GM Brodie Van Wagenen surfaced on the internet of Van Wagenen being critical of Commissioner Rob Manfred, saying, quote, he just doesn't get it. After Van Wagenen thought Manfred suggested a 1-hour walkout against the Marlins, then playing the game rather than a full cancellation. Van Wagenen has since walked back his thought on Manfred.
Baseball's trying to come up with a solution to say, no, it'd be super powerful. Three of us here can't leave this room. They're saying, it'd be really great if you just have them all take the field. Then they leave the field, and then they come back and play at 8:10. And I was like, what? Who's that? Rob. Because Jeff's scheduling's going to be a nightmare. There's so much at stake. And I said, Jeff, that's not happening. These guys are not playing. They're not playing, but that's Rob's instinct. And Rob, not exactly what you and I were talking about. At leadership level, he doesn't get it. He just doesn't get it.
All right, so as a part of a much larger apology, here's what Van Wagenen had to say. I apologize to the commissioner for my disrespectful comments and poor judgments in inaccurately describing the content of this private conversation with Jeff Wilpon.
That in the results area, we actually had peak claw. Clayton Kershaw threw 6 scoreless innings of 4-hit ball. Dodgers blanked the Giants 7-0. He's now 4-1 on the season with a 1.80 ERA as the NL West leading Dodgers notch their 24th win.
It'll be a tough task for Tiger to make the Tour Championship. Had an opening round 73, 3 over par. Conditions at Olympia had some teeth. Tiger said it was like playing at a U.S. Open. He was hovering around par Even a few shots out of the lead, but then he finished 3 straight bogeys and needs to finish in the top 6 to make the Tour Championship next week. A few players under par, but again, it's tough. Hideki Matsuyama, 3 under par. There you see Rory at even par. According to Elias, the fewest under par after 18 holes in a non-major since the Buick in '93. How long ago is that? Well, the tournament ended with Phil Mickelson's first career win as a pro.
I think the most difficult part is to see, like, people still don't care.
We keep loving this country, and this country does not love us back.
At the end of the day, when I walk away from this game, I'm still going to be a black man.
We are scared as black people.
Despite the overwhelming plea for change, there has been no action.
These moments are so much more bigger than us. If we do this unified as a league, it looks different.
Our players did a courageous thing in Major League Baseball.
We all understand that it's bigger than baseball.
There comes a time where you have to live it. You have to step up.
I tip my hat off to all those guys.
It's different this time.
And the statement that's been made is very powerful, especially coming from this league.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired. We're going to keep fighting.
I'm so proud of these young boys, these young men and women.
We're not just going to shut up and dribble, shut up and play ball.
A collection of voices from across the sports landscape, as we've seen over the last couple of days. Broad sweeping postponement. We now want to welcome in ESPN senior columnist Howard Bryant, who has a fantastic article up right now on ESPN.com. And Howard, as you know, it's titled, "The Reality of Black Pain is Breaking American Sports Status Quo." Can you expound on what that means?
Yeah, well, thank you, Elle. I just started to think when you're working on an article like this, I was asking myself a question, which is, where in American society do you get to routinely witness murder? Do you really get to witness killing? We've been fighting a war, 2 wars for 20 years. The anniversary of 9/11 is next year, but it's a sanitized thing. We don't see dead bodies anymore like you did with Vietnam. But with something like this, when you're looking at social media and the way that for this young generation, this is their medium of communication. And so to see these viral videos go back and forth every single day, you're watching essentially people getting killed on a routine basis. And I think that the players have sent the message that this is something that's real. It's not performative for them. It's not a branding opportunity for them. It's something that is a very central part of their lives. And I really do appreciate what the tennis player Naomi Osaka said, where she was saying it's